It's going to be a wild year, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Justin Veach. I'm the manager of the museum's Stewart Auditorium, and I curate public programs. Thanks for coming out this evening. We've got quite a year ahead of us here at the Longmont Museum. First of all, we've got a Picasso show opening a week from tomorrow. There's still tickets available, or you can definitely still get into the opening. You can reserve online if you'd like, or you can just show up, pay at the door. And of course, our members get in free, as per usual. Let's see, what else? Oh, I'd like to thank all the folks who make our programming possible: the Scientific and Cultural Facilities District, the Stewart Family Foundation, the Friends of the Longmont Museum, our many donors, and of course, our museum members. Do we have any museum members with us? Hey, members, long time no see. Welcome back. We simply can't do all that we do without you. So thank you. If you're interested in finding out what it means to be a member of the Longmont Museum, grab me or stop by the front desk and we'll tell you every single thing you ever wanted to know about Longmont Museum membership. I'd also like to thank our media sponsors, the mighty KGNU Community Radio out of dear old Boulder, just down the road, and KUNC, as well as the Colorado Sound. They promote our programs for us, which is fantastic, and we listen to them. So yeah, this is our first Thursday night at the museum as part of our Thursday Nights at the Museum series, and we've got all kinds of program related to Picasso coming up: film, a poetry reading, some music. There's a particular program called From Satie. Oh no, it's Satie and All That Jazz. It's going to be very interesting. There's going to be a bit of jazz. It's going to be kind of a musical overview of the period of like 1915 to 1925. Should be super interesting. Lots of other programming as well. Of course, in 2025, we will be officially breaking ground on our new museum expansion in May. Super exciting. The only thing about that is that we're going to have to close our exhibits and our galleries for that to happen. Our programming will continue. We'll continue to do Thursday nights at the museum, our Friday afternoon concert series, and our Museum Presents programming on the weekends, as well as all of our education programming. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce my colleague, our Curator of History here at the Longmont Museum, Elizabeth Beaudoin. You're welcome. Is the mic on? It is. Brian, is this mic? Check. This is good. Handheld one is not working, Brian. Handheld 2 is working. And we're going to do a switcheroony. We can also share the mic. Well, you're already here. Does anybody else have any questions about microphones while we're at it?
How's that? That works.
All right.
Oh, much better.
Ladies and gentlemen, Elizabeth Beaudoin, our Curator of History.
Thank you.
So tonight we're watching a film. What exactly are we watching, Elizabeth?
We are going to watch a 17-minute film that was made in 1940, so before America was involved with the war. And it is a promotional film that was sponsored by the members of the Chamber of Commerce. So it features local businesses and urges residents of Longmont to shop local. And how the money that stays in our community can go towards schools and roads and all of that. So there's some great shots of Main Street and other locations that you may recognize or may not recognize. So it's just a little journey back in time.
And I know what you're thinking, 17 minutes. What? We're just going to be here for 17 minutes and leave? No, because we're not watching the movie just once. We're going to take a break. And then we're going to watch it again, but we're going to stop and start throughout and make observations and provide some commentary. Of course, I know nothing about Longmont. I mean, I know where the museum is. I know where my house is. I know where Whole Foods is. You know, that's about it. So Elizabeth will be providing all of the historical info, and I will be doing something else.
Right, and we'll have an opportunity at the end for people to ask questions.
That's right. And I don't know if you noticed, but we're both wearing 1940s period outfits. Anybody else dressed in period attire? I mean 1940s attire, not 2025 attire.
Maybe this is a good time to promote our talk with the curator on fashion history.
That's right. We have a new series that we're launching.
Yeah, February 21st will be our first one, and it will feature me talking about items in our collection from our fashion textile collection.
That's right. Does everybody know about our collections and our enormous collection facility offsite?
Yes, we have a collection of, I think, over 20,000 objects and many, many more historic photos and archival items. Most of the objects are stored off-site. We also have a tour coming up sometime in March of the off-site collection, so sign up for that if you'd like to see all the stuff. And then our new Talk with the Curator series the first one will be about fashion, and then March's will be about buildings, some of which we will see in this movie.
Okay. So, Brian, would you like to roll it? Okay, here we go. Longmont on Parade, ladies and gentlemen.
Businessmen who seek your of local. How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? This program has been prepared and presented to you by a selected group of local independent businessmen who seek your operation to stimulate prosperity and create additional payrolls in our community. Has it ever occurred to you who it is that has made possible these beautiful paved streets and highways that enable us to drive our cars with such ease and comfort? Just in case any of you have forgotten, I shall remind you that your local merchants contribute approximately 65% of the taxes to afford us this luxury. They fully deserve our and your support. And when your home is menaced by fire, we cannot expect the fire department from some other community to assist us. We are wholly dependent upon our own fire equipment to protect us from this hazard. And remember these volunteer firemen who so generously contribute their time that we may feel secure in this, their protection, with the result of their work, all of which is made possible through taxes to which the local merchants again contribute 65%. How vivid in the memory of all of us is the little red schoolhouse. It will always have its sentimental value, but compared to the modern structures and today's methods of education and instruction, our children are highly fortunate. The pedagogical training of our teachers, the complete equipment and safety of our schools, the careful attention to the protection of their health and training are all sustained, furthered, and made possible by taxes. And 65% of these taxes are paid by our local merchants, sturdy citizens of a sturdy, progressive community. That is your community. Very soon, these young girls and boys will be ready to enter the business world. Yet, how often have we heard it said that there is no opportunity in this community for my boy or girl, and that it is necessary for them to seek employment in the larger cities. Many opportunities could be provided from the industries of this community if the people would but realize that the money spent with any merchant outside our own community robs our own town of prosperity, prevents progress that enables the merchant to create more opportunities in the forms of jobs, more local improvements, increased real estate values, all of which tends to enhance the value of our entire community. The nation and state is only as strong as each individual community. only as progressive and solvent as each district's ability to furnish young, ambitious, healthy, educated sons and daughters. Our local merchants aid magnificently toward this composite picture. We sustain and maintain local health, fire, police, school, library, and many other public benefactory efforts. The employees of these services owe it to local merchants to purchase local commodities, to teach and practice local pride. It is a sound truism: united we stand, and united we succeed. Ladies and gentlemen, your community is composed of you and you and you. Your local merchant is your friend and neighbor. He stands willing and eager to assist you. They deposit in our banks. They employ local help, and they pay local taxes. Ladies and gentlemen, support wholeheartedly your local merchant. Described by the Times Call as one of the greatest examples of community cooperation in Longmont history, the erection of the new Chamber of Commerce building proves to be just that before Beaudoin News lenses. The associated contractors of this Colorado community are in charge of the building, and donating the equivalent of $7,500 in labor, they are putting up the structure in a 48-hour around-the-clock marathon, supported by 4 dozen local merchants, civic-minded tradesmen who secured the materials at cost price, backed by donations from other citizens. The shades of night fail to stop the inspired workers, and there's no slackening of tempo under the artificial lights. Comes the dawn and the approach of the 48th hour with everything on schedule. And all Colorado joins in congratulating Longmont on its active civic consciousness, its triumph of cooperation, an example all the world could emulate with profit.
Well, you may not realize it, folks, but young Mr. 1955 has just asked me to extend to you his best wishes for a very happy new year.
Oh, Longmont.
I should have added that the 2 little clips at the end are from different years. The chamber built their building, which is no longer where they are at. It is now the building where El Comité is, sometime in the late 50s, and that was a promotional reel for that, and it was a 48-hour building spree. Built the entire building in only 2 days. And then the last little New Year's thing, it just was somehow like in the film. So maybe left over from the Fox Theater, possibly.
Amazing. Mind-blowing. So shall we see it one more time through and we'll stop along the way? You would like that idea? So this is how we're going to do it. We're going to yell stop. Or we won't yell. We'll kindly say stop.
Apologize ahead of time.
Brian Statter up in the booth will stop the film. Yep. Brian, give it up for Brian. He will stop the film on a dime, and we will comment and provide interesting tidbits and factoids about Longmont. That's the plan. Maybe we can turn the volume down on the film just a little bit. You like that? Okay.
We're going to talk over it too, right? Maybe a little bit.
We may talk over it here and there as well. Okay. We ready? Strap in. Roll it. This isn't the Fox Theater, by the way.
But the Fox Theater does still exist. It's the Longmont Performing Arts Center now on Main Street. The Fox Theater was also brand new when this was made. It was built in 1939. All right, stop. Okay, this is actually a really interesting view of Main Street that we don't get very often, and we don't have a lot of photos in which the photographer, the cameraman, is looking southward. So we're standing in the middle of Main Street, right at the railroad tracks, which are in the same place they are today, looking south. So we can see there was a large flour mill on the right. That little red depot is somewhere in there, probably that darkish color over there. And there was another factory building on the left, on the east side. No, we are looking north. I'm sorry. There's another view. See, I already undercut my authority.
North, south. You guys know everything, don't you?
Okay, so, no, you're right. We're looking north at the fire tracks with the cheese importers on the left. Yeah, and the flour mill is actually behind that. That's the brick tall building. And then the tall building on the right is the Opera House. And a lot of the things on the right side are gone now. That's why I love seeing things that are taken from further in the south. of Main Street, because everyone stands at the intersection of 3rd and 287 and takes a picture there looking north. But a lot of change happened on this side of the Main Street, especially around the tracks as industries changed. Okay, continue.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? This program has been prepared and presented to you by a selected group of local independent businessmen who seek your operation
And
to
women.
stimulate prosperity and create additional payrolls in our community. Has it ever occurred to you who it is that has made possible these beautiful paved streets and highways that enable us to drive our cars with such ease and comfort?
All right, stop.
Just in case...
Awesome. Okay, so this is the intersection of Ziggy's is on 5th or 4th. I always forget. 4th. So the building on, and also I'm at a very weird angle, by the way, so it's a little bit by memory and also notes. The building way over on the left is an old bank, I believe it was the National Bank of Longmont. It was torn down, and now that big shiny black glass bank is there. Everything on that block got torn down in the 70s for that bank. And then the thing with all the across the street with all the signs on it, that's Ziggy's, which at this time was a soda fountain. And then the buildings to the right, the one across the street is what's becoming the billiard hall. And then there's like a coin and jewelry shop in the building it's been replaced, but that's that location. So we're looking east at the intersection of 4th and 287. Continue.
Any of you have forgotten, I shall remind you that your local merchants contribute approximately 65% of the taxes to afford us this luxury. They fully deserve our and your support. And when your home is menaced by fire, we
All right,
cannot...
stop. Do we all recognize this place? Awesome. Yes, this is one of the great kind of preserved landmarks that helps us situate ourselves whenever we're looking at historic images of streets around Longmont. We're going to see not only more about the fire department, 4th Ave, right? Or 5th Ave? I always mix 4th and 5th.
It's 4th. Yeah.
4th Ave. The two businesses next door are also going to get highlighted in this film. So immediately next door, which is now a children's clothing and toy shop, is the Creamery, it was called. And then next to that is Hildreth's Photos, I believe. And both of them are going to be highlighted in this film later on. And then that Times Call offices was also on the street at that time.
Hildreth's is a fancy new coffee place, if you haven't been.
Wait,
I had a
really?
meeting there today. What's that?
Here? In Longmont?
Yeah.
Oh. We
So-
have a new coffee shop?
We have a new coffee shop.
All right.
It's
Well,
called,
Hildreth's...
Juniper Goods, I think it's called.
Okay. I thought you said there was a coffee shop named Hildreth's.
Oh, no.
And then that, I was going to be like, oh, but Juniper Goods is in the Hildreth's in this video. What else about this? We're also going to see a lot of imagery of cars, car type businesses, which I find very fascinating. Let's continue.
Expect the fire department from some other community to assist us. We are wholly dependent upon our own fire equipment to protect us from this hazard. And remember these volunteer firemen who so generously
Stop.
contribute...
Stop.
So we don't know where this is. It literally, Eric didn't know either when we showed this last time. A lot of the churches did get torn down in the later 20th century. I think this is on the east side of town around 4th Ave. That's our guess, but there were churches on the west side that are no longer there. They basically built larger, bigger churches elsewhere as we spread out suburbia-wise. St. Stephen's, the little red church downtown, almost got torn down in the 1970s, and it was saved through the efforts of history-loving people and is now run by the St. Vrain Historical Society.
Does anybody think they know where this is?
4th and Terry?
4th and Terry? Oh, okay.
There you go. We can always use the memories of people to help identify old photos.
their time that we may feel secure in this their protection with the result of their work, all of which is made possible through taxes, to which the local merchants again contribute 65%. How vivid in the memory of all of us is the little red schoolhouse. It
All
will
right, you can
always
stop
have its
this one. Now, this school is the Bryant School. It looks a lot like Columbine School because they both had big arched brick doorways. Unfortunately, the Bryant School was torn down in 1959. It was built in 1891, but by the 1920s already they had found a crack in the foundation, and people were saying it was unsafe. But it made it to 1959. It was torn down and is now an apartment complex at 324 Longs Peak Ave, and basically the corner of Longs Peak and Emery Street.
Do you want to point out the slide on the side of the building?
Oh, yes. You're going to see this in a lot of the shots of the different schools. We will also see Longmont High School, which at the time was the school that's on Main Street over by like 9th Ave. And then also Central Elementary. That one you really can see the slide. How many people here remember fire drill slides? Yeah. They were not taken down until the 1970s, so there's a lot of people out there that remember doing a fire drill where you'd jump down a slide. Let's continue.
Sentimental value, but compared to the modern structures and today's methods of education and instruction, our children are highly fortunate. The pedagogical training of our teachers, the complete equipment and safety of our schools, the careful attention to the protection of their health and training are all sustained, furthered, and made possible by taxes.
Is that Spanky?
65% of
Alfalfa?
these taxes are paid
Darla?
by our local merchants, sturdy citizens of a sturdy, progressive community. That is your community. Very soon, these young girls and boys will be ready to enter the business world, yet how often have we heard it said that there is no opportunity in this community for my boy or girl?
Let's pause
And then it
here. I find it interesting that they are speaking head on about there being no opportunity for my boy and girl. We are missing two of the biggest employers in this video. I don't know if you noticed that. There is no cannery and there is no sugar mill. And I wonder if there is something about that those were kind of more your blue collar jobs, and these business owners are saying something to, if my child wants to have a job here that's not in one of the mills, then we need to create the economic prosperity so that they can open their own individual businesses. That's how I kind of understood it.
But we do have the flour mill.
The flour mill, but then they also show like the scientist at the flour mill.
Oh, that's right. That's true. The test tubes.
We think the flour mill, it might have put up the most money. They're certainly the biggest business in this film because they also get the most amount of time. So I wonder if like the amount of money you put towards this project, the amount of like screen time you got.
It's riveting stuff. I mean, I would have given it a lot of time too.
Let's continue.
Necessary for them to
This
seek
is the high school,
employment
by
in
the
the
way.
larger cities. Many opportunities could be provided from the industries of this community if the people would but realize that the money spent with any merchant outside our own community robs our own town of prosperity, prevents progress that enables the merchant to create more opportunities in the forms of jobs, more local improvements, increased real estate values, all of which tends
Sure
to
did
enhance
that,
the
increase the
value
real estate
of our
values.
entire community. The nation and state is only as strong as each individual community, only as progressive and solvent as each district's ability to furnish young, ambitious, healthy, educated sons
All right, let's
and daughters.
stop here. This is a little bit of a tough one. This building is still here. Does anyone recognize it? Maybe we have some members of this organization? Yes, it's the Elks. It's the Elks. And if you kind of go behind the Elks, you will down the like alley maybe, you'll see it looks like this building. It's one of the fancier buildings in Longmont, and it was designed in the 1925, and the architect was Robert Fuller, who designed quite a few like courthouses and other official buildings around the state at that time. In the 1960s, they added a large addition that goes right up against 3rd, and it's for rent. There's big parties you can have there and everything. So it covers up this side of the building. But if you walk around it, you'll see this older Italianate, quite fancy building. Let's continue.
Our local merchants aid magnificently toward this composite
I think we
picture.
all know this one.
We sustain and maintain
The
local
museum used to
health,
have its collections
fire,
in that
police,
building for a
school,
long time.
library, and many other public benefactory efforts. The employees of these services owe it to local merchants to purchase local commodities, to teach and practice local pride. It is a sound truism: united we stand, and united we succeed. Ladies and gentlemen, your
wanna
community
stop
is
that?
composed...
There, sorry, can you go back just a little? This is another spot. If anyone recognizes it, let me know.
of you. Ladies and gentlemen,
We've got like some kind of church on the right, maybe the former Catholic church. Presbyterian? And where's that located? 4th and Kimbark. Okay, awesome. Great. This was one of the sections I was like, I don't know where that is.
your community is composed of you and you and you.
And you.
Your local merchant is your
I
friend
like
and neighbor.
the hat.
He stands willing and
All
eager.
right, let's stop
to
here.
assist.
This actually looks almost exactly the same today. This is, if you're standing on 4th Ave, this is a glass shop now, and Ziggy's is just out of the frame to the left.
Hillcrest glass, right?
Yep. And this is an interesting building too, that if you go behind it, you'll see the old coal shafts that go down into the basement. And there's some cool glass in the sidewalk. If you take our historic walking tours, I will point this all out. All right, let's continue.
They deposit in our banks. They employ local help. And they pay local taxes. Ladies and gentlemen, support wholeheartedly your local merchant.
I love the score for this. It's
giving-
really jolly, isn't it?
It's giving me merry-go-round vibes.
I wonder if it was composed especially for this film.
Who knows? All right, who recognizes this building? Yeah, it's the pump house. And the pump house was never a fire station, even though they have a fire station theme. Has always been some kind of mechanic car-related building.
Stop. What is this guy doing to this car? Does anybody
He's
know?
smoothing it
Because
out.
I cannot figure it out.
He's
Anyone?
smoothing out the dents, right?
I don't know. He's shaving it or so. I don't know what he's doing. Okay, Brian.
I think it's funny that we have a brewery in Longmont, Collision, which is a new building with a auto mechanic theme. And then we have a brewery that actually isn't an auto mechanic, but has a firehouse theme. Some people might remember this business. Robbins Flowers was at 421 Kaufman Street. This building, I believe, was torn down at some point, but they moved into the building that was next door. And they were in business at least until the 1990s, maybe even well into the 21st century.
You know, my grandfather was a florist.
Can't have allergies for that job. Robbins Flowers started in 1917, so it had already been in business for a good,
No
more than
relation
20
to
years.
Robbins Chocolates, right?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It had 3 owners over the course of its life. All right, stop here. Does anyone recognize? This is a little bit of a harder one, but this building is still here. Does anyone recognize it? South of Third, yeah. It's the mat company, like a mat cleaning carpet company. It actually looks, if you were to compare it, it doesn't look too different. It just has very different signage. All right, let's continue. I like how they're almost
The
dancing.
drama.
All right, there's one of those slides. This is Central Elementary, which is still there and is Longmont's oldest school.
Oh, we got some grads, some Central
Yeah, and
Elementary kids. Okay.
Okay, let's stop here. This one's a really, really hard one because it doesn't really look like this anymore. Does anyone know where this was? So this is actually like kind of in the Imperial Hotel. It's a little section. So if you're like going to go down into the speakeasy, it's the section next to it, to the north. They must have given it a very nice Art Deco modern facing for this period. I bet every one of these appliances still works. Hildreth did a lot of the school photos during the 20th century. We must have thousands and thousands of photos taken by this studio. I love the dog. There's a really nice reflection of the bank across the street in that shot. This building was demolished, but it was at 914 Main. Hold on. Do you want to go back to the other one? Okay, so we've got like 3 gas stations in a row here, and they go fast. Go back a little bit more. Oh no, too far. Continue to play, and I'll tell you stop. So Munson's was where 5th and Kimbark. And then news service was gone. That building's gone. Oh, we did miss it. Go ahead and stop. You'll notice that a lot of these gas stations, which are all fairly new, have this like white stuccoed outside. And really the only example that we have of that still is Johnson's Station, which is now over in Prospect. So if you haven't checked that out yet, it's a great example of an Art Deco 1930s gas station, which were all up and down Main Street. And you'll notice that Johnson Station's not in here. And by this time they had 2 locations, one in the north and one in the south. So I guess they weren't in the chamber. What else about? Yeah, I have a theory that you can't go 1,000 feet on Main Street without hitting something that was a gas station or a car dealership or a car mechanic. And you'll notice in pictures of Main Street, if you're looking at a picture from 1910, it's almost all horses and buggies. By 1920, all cars. It really drastically changes the landscape. Go ahead, continue.
One stop does it.
All right, stop. All right, this is another one. Does anyone recognize this corner? Yes, 5th and Main. It is now Crackpots, and there's like a plant store. All right, continue. This was at also on 5th, 650 5th Ave. It is now the Pavilion Office Complex. Although I think the building it's been replaced. The building is also a white stuccoed building, but it's advertised in the architectural advertisement for the architect who also designed the Civic Center. So I think it's a new building, or it's been heavily, heavily renovated in the 70s. There's that creamery. Let's pause it right here. For context, so this building actually stood until about 2010, in which it burned down. It was at First and Terry, and there are the towers, the silos are still there. So it's a pretty empty lot, the silos, and then there's another building that is shown that says like Golden West, and that's still there. But it's mostly an empty lot over kind of where the bridge of Boston Ave kind of crosses over. And all right, let's continue. I like the idea of getting flour in the town that I live in.
Sure. Yep.
I don't know. It's
I don't know
hard,
what I would
hard
do
for
with
me
flour.
to imagine that as someone, a modern person, that food is made in the town I live in. What?
There's nothing like fresh flour.
I'm from New England originally, and King Arthur is like a thing to visit. Like tour buses go there. It's a big deal. It's in Norwich, Vermont. Highly recommend. They had a great gift shop. This building is still there. At least it was on the Google bus in May of 2024.
Do you know where?
In that same location on First
Oh,
and Terry.
yeah.
Yeah. But this big, tall factory building is no longer.
That's a typewriter.
Anyone recognize anybody? Anyone's like parents in here? He pulls out a very yummy looking loaf of bread. This was at 10 Main Street, so about where the Enterprise car rental by the tracks. Like I said, that whole area has changed a lot. It's hard to situate yourself in anywhere around First. All right, let's pause here. This is, so Ideal Market, there were actually two. So it's showing this one, and I spent a lot of time researching this yesterday, so I'm gonna tell you. I finally found it. It was on South Main Street, 23 South Main Street. There is a building there now that is an empty commercial space. This was what they called a drive-in market. And I think that was just that you could drive to it, just like all our grocery stores are today. But in the next frame, it's gonna show you Ideal Central Market, which was at 436 Main, which would have been at that time a traditional market that was like downtown, probably without parking, that you would just walk to. So yeah, this is the new and modern sort of supermarket style that would only get even bigger after the war.
And then, of course, there's Ideal Market in Boulder, which is part of the same.
I think there's a connection there.
Yeah, it's Amazon now.
By 1960, oh, go ahead. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. They've kept the Ideal Market branding intact.
I love that. And there were three of these in 1962. In 1962, they added a third location up at Francis and 11th. There's like an Anytime Fitness over there, over by the high school. That was their big new, post-war supermarket version. And it was 28,000 square feet and had 85,000 square feet of parking. And of course, that area was in 1962 was growing like crazy. If you think about the kind of houses that are over there in that part of town, all ranches. So yeah, let's continue. So this is the central one that was on Main Street. It is now Fig and Ivy Home Goods Store. The Golden Transfer Company this is where there's parking on Kimbark over where the new hotel's going up. That parking was created in the late 60s, early 70s to try to bring parking downtown to combat like the malls and strip malls that were getting built and taking business away from Main Street. And Orville Fred was just across the street, I believe. Another white stucco gas station. And the McKee Transfer Company was at 320 Kimbark Street, which is now where the Civic Center is. This is the building right next to Juniper Goods, to the left of it. We have all the issues of the Times Call on microfilm and also as physical copies in our archive. If you'd ever like to see any of them, just make an appointment with me. up to 1939 has been digitized on the Colorado Historic Newspaper Database, which is a wonderful, wonderful service. And we're always looking for funders to do more digitization. This is Roosevelt Park, by the way, and that is one tall slide. It is Sunset Golf Course. This is at Main and 11th.
It would be interesting to see what this company, the other cities this company did.
Described by the Times Call as one of the greatest
this is at
examples of
Kimbar?
community cooperation in Longmont
That
history.
white building is actually
The
the back
erection of the new
of
Chamber of Commerce
St.
building proves to be
Stephen's.
just that before Movietone News lenses.
There was a house behind St. Stephen's that was torn down in the 70s.
The associated contractors of this Colorado community are in charge of the building and donating the equivalent of $7,500 in labor. They are putting up the structure in a 48-hour around-the-clock marathon, supported by 4 dozen local merchants, civic-minded tradesmen who secured the materials at cost price, backed by donations from other citizens. The shades of night fail to stop the inspired workers, and there's no slackening of tempo under the artificial lights. Comes the dawn and the approach of the 48th hour with everything on schedule. And all Colorado joins in congratulating Longmont on its active civic consciousness, its triumph of cooperation, an example all the world could emulate with profit.
And I think the whole world did emulate that, didn't they?
Well, you may not realize it, folks, but young Mr. 1955 has just asked me to extend to you his best wishes for a very happy new year.
So what if I run the mic around and take some questions,
Yeah, let's do that.
and probably some
I
corrections
can't see
too,
anyone.
I imagine.
It's just darkness. There we go.
Any questions, comments, corrections? What was the Indian gas pump?
Oh, I think that has to do with Indian motorcycles.
I thought so too.
They're very, they still make them, I believe, right? They're very highly collectible. If you ever watch American Pickers, they're always looking for Indian motorcycle stuff.
Associated with that, and also noticed a lot of the gas stations were Texaco.
Yes, lots of Texaco stations. I don't know why that is.
Do you know offhand how long it was that Burlington was separate from Longmont, and if the museum has any interesting goodies about the Burlington part of town?
Yeah, the question is about Burlington, which is basically the community that was here before Longmont became Longmont. So you get white settlers coming into the area following the 1859 Pikes Peak Gold Rush, starting to settle this area, farm in the region. And Burlington, it's kind of set up shop around the river, so kind of where we are, just north of here. And, Mary Allen Dickens started a stage stop here. This route, 287, roughly corresponds to the Overland Trail route, where it was a stagecoach route. There were about 100 people living here around in 1870, 1871, when the Chicago colony starts shopping around for their planned city. So there's a kind of a group of investors, idealists who wanted to start a community out here in Colorado, and the idea is that you would come together as a group and together pool your resources to, plan roads, get the railroad to come there, get businesses to come, and so that group decided here. They liked the proximity to the river. They did end up planning their city a little further up the hill because there had been a large flood only a few years earlier, and people warned them, you don't want to be by the river. So by 1871, that's when it goes from being Burlington to Longmont. And we do have a few things from Burlington, mainly like one issue of the newspaper. And there is one building that remains from Burlington. It is not in its original location. And if you take my east side walking tour, we will see that. It is a white, nondescript apartment building that is kind of behind the in between. It's over on 3rd. That is William Dickens' first Independence Hall, so his first attempt at a social center building. And it was down in Burlington by the river first, and then he moved it up to the location where the Dickens Opera House is. And then when he replaced that building with a brick building, it got moved a little bit further down 3rd and then turned into an apartment building. And it is the oldest structure, not counting the Atfolter cabin that's in Mill Park that was out, I think, by Haystack or something like that. So yeah, the oldest building from Burlington, the only building from Burlington to survive. That was a big history lesson, guys. Sorry.
So the Fox Theater that we now know as the Longmont Performing Arts Center, that was brand new.
It's brand new.
A year old. How long was it called the Fox, and was there another movie theater on Main Street?
I know that it gets called the Trojan Theater because of the high school mascot at some point, but I don't know when when it goes from being Fox to Trojan. And then I don't know if there was another movie theater. There definitely was another theater, and I don't know the ISIS Theater it was called. It was on Main Street, 3rd, I believe the 300 block on the west side. It is now an antique store. It's got a white front, but it was actually had this really cool sort of Egyptian-y, fun, kind of exotic front that is just now totally gone. If anyone with deep pockets would like to redo that building, I've got a picture. That might have been a movie theater early on. That was in the 1910s, and like Gloria Swanson is advertised as performing in the one picture I have, but she's more known for being, I think, in person. So I don't quite know with the ISIS Theater whether that was movie theater or not, but there definitely was. That did precede, but it was in a different location, and the building's still there. I think that one would have had vaudeville. And also the upper floor of the Dickens Opera House had vaudeville type acts.
So do you know it was on the street level of the Dickens Opera House?
Bank maybe? That I'll have to look that up for you.
Is there any way to watch or show this to others other than through the museum?
Sorry, what was the question? Is there any?
The video as a whole, like any way to view it online or anything like that?
It is not viewable online. This is our only copy. Oh, I mean, we have the original film, but this is a Blu-ray. So if anyone knows how to get a file off a Blu-ray and then put it on YouTube, let me know.
This program is being live streamed and recorded, so you will
good.
be able to watch it on the event page, on this event page on our website. I think people are watching right now. So you can go back and look at this.
Need to use
What's the provenance of this copy?
Ooh, I'd have to go look at the record on who donated it. Could have been the chamber themselves. We have a lot of things from the chamber.
Great question.
They're walking because their car and everything is designed for the car. With that said, though, if you have home videos that show the streets, the buildings, businesses that are gone, we are interested in those for our archive. Or even photos that you've taken over the years. We don't actually have a lot of shots of Main Street in the 1990s, so I am actively looking for photos and videos of Main Street from maybe 1985 to 2005.
Maybe some old Super 8 you have squirreled away somewhere. Hang on, let me get you the microphone so that we can get you on the live stream.
I also don't see any people of color. What was the population makeup in the 40s?
I don't know that off the top of my head, but considering that this was a professional production and that the way the world was in the 1940s, I think the focus would have only been on white people. I did watch this. I've watched this now 5 times. If you look really careful at all those students that are like streaming out of the doors, I definitely saw some Asian students and some Hispanic students, which they would have been families working here in the fields and in possibly the sugar mill as well.
What do you think of the idea of encouraging the Chamber of Commerce to do a 100-year later version of this?
Oh my God, I would love it.
Longmont on Parade 2.
We're going to have to share this with the chamber. I don't know if they know that we have this video. I keep meaning to reach out to them because about a year ago, they were celebrating their anniversary, more than 50 years. I forget what it was. And they were looking for pictures from that 48-hour build thing. And we found still photographs, but I didn't know about this film at the time. So I got to loop them in. If anyone's in the chamber.
I had a neighbor tell me that James Dean performed in Longmont. I believe it to be true. Do you know what theater?
He didn't perform, but we actually just had someone researching that, and we found the newspaper article in the Times Call. James Dean, as a high schooler, before he was famous, won a speaking contest. It was like a national or regional speaking contest and was held here in Longmont, and we do have the article from that.
Like an elocution kind of thing?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I think we have time for maybe one or two last questions.
Ooh, I think it's about 4,000. The population of Longmont was kind of between 4,000 and 5,000 for most of the first half of the 20th century. And then post-war, it starts going up and up and up.
I'm curious about the turkey plant that used to be on Main somewhere near the tracks. I don't know anything about it.
The question was about the turkey plant. I don't know when that gets built. I need to do some research on that, and it is on my list of things. However, I find a lot of people didn't photograph the building. And if you really want to go back in time, I mean, this is such an awesome resource, is actually Google Street View. You can go back in time to 2007. And if you go do that, you will see the turkey plant really clearly. And what's great about Google Street View is it captures all the little details that no one would even take a photograph of, or like what movie was playing at the movie theater that was at the mall that hadn't been torn down yet. And I found that really, really helpful to situate myself. And too bad it only goes back to 2007.
I did a Google search, go figure. 1940, 7,400 people in Longmont.
Oh, that's bigger than I thought.
Does everyone know about Google? Oh, okay.
Sorry, quick question. Could you tell me where the chamber building was? You said it really quickly and I
Oh,
couldn't catch
yes.
it.
So the chamber building that they're building in this video is on Kimbark, like between 3rd and 4th. It is now the offices of El Comité. It was built as a flat roof 1950s brick building, but then sometime in the 70s, these like plywood arches were added. So it's like a little tiny building with these big arches. Or maybe it's between 4th and 5th. It's on Kimbark. Behind the old post office.
Thank you all for joining us. Let's hear it for our amazing
Yeah, thanks,
curator
everybody.
of history, Elizabeth Beaudoin. Special thanks to Brian in the booth for his magic thumb. Hopefully see you, some of you, at the Picasso opening next week, yeah? Well done. Thank you.